There we go. All right. Let's welcome to the meeting, the Burlington Accessibility Advisory Committee. Today is Monday, July 17th. My name is Nate Bazzaio. I am the chair of the committee. I also work for the Vermont Center for Independent Living Burlington office. And I am going to go around the room and let people check in. So I am going to start with the nifty Brady Bunch screen of Burlington Parks and Recreation. So if people can just chime in on who's over there.
Go ahead. Thanks for recognizing our Brady Bunchness. Nate, I am John Adams Collins in the Planning Division of Parks Department.
My name is Max Heller. I'm an intern this summer with the Planning Department as well.
I'm Sophie Sylvan, Parks Comprehensive Planner with the Parks Rec and Waterfront Division.
All right, up next, Scott.
Hi, CIO for the city of Burlington. Been with the city for a little over a year.
And Amber.
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Amber Fulcher. I'm the ADA 504 coordinator for UVM.
Laura. Or is Laura away? There.
Hi, everyone. My name is Laura Siegel. I'm Director of Deaf, Hard of Hearing, Deaf Blind Services for the Department of Disabilities, Aging, and Independent Living. You're hearing the voice of my interpreter, Virginia.
And Ethan.
Hi, everyone. I am the admin coordinator here at the Office of Racial Equity, Inclusion, and Belonging.
Go ahead.
We might hire another role focused on accessibility and inclusion and stuff, but in the meantime, I will be here.
And we do, John, I'm referring to you as a member of the public for now. These are committee members. So John, if you would just like to introduce yourself.
Sure. Hi, everybody. My name is John Thomas. I'm the Director of Development at the Vermont Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired.
Great. Welcome, everyone. I did put the agenda in the chat if anybody wants to see it. I will also say, I know I got an email from Vanessa saying that she had an appointment that she had to make, and so that she was going to try to come in. And if she's going to make it, she was going to try to attend by phone. I did get it. I did see a phone number pop up, but it disappeared. So I'm guessing that might be Vanessa trying to make it. But this is what we have for now. So we've done the introductions. We would like to open it up to public forum. If there's anybody here for the public who have anything they want to say and specifically to address anything. If not, we could just move on to the next item on the agenda. So we are moving on to the next news and the items, which is news and updates. A couple of news and updates. I think the really big thing to report is that Ethan has now changed jobs. He is no longer with CEDU, and he's now taking his role, as he says, in his role at was it Racial Justice Equity? I'm sorry if I'm not referring to that right. But he will no longer be attending or making minutes, taking minutes, or doing the administrative duties. We are working with CEDU on getting somebody new to take that. It looks like, will Scott be taking the place, Ethan, do you know, or is there going to be somebody else?
I think it's either going to be Scott or or their office coordinator, Ana Maria.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, So in the meantime, right now, we will not be having the, well, hopefully Scott is going to be taking the transcript that we have and the recording that I have from recording meeting minutes, but we will be looking at a new admin person at some point in the future. Other than that, I do not have, it's been a crazy summer. I'm just trying to think if my memory thinks of any real news and updates to provide with anybody. I don't know if anybody on the committee wants to provide any news and updates with any particular issues. I do know that we have the presentation coming up for the ARIA visual interpretation, but I don't know if anybody has any updates on various projects that are going on or anything with accessibility. I see Scott raising his hand. So Scott.
Yeah, I just want to give a preliminary update, whether it's Scott Rogers or whoever it is, who becomes the CEDO rep that kind of has oversight of the committee from the city side. We will need to move all of this agenda building, agenda tracking, publicizing everything else into the new system, Civic Clerk. So Nate will need to get everything backwards from you so we can get it into the new system. But we'll also going forward have to use Civic Clerk to host the meeting, not host the meetings, but post the meetings, post the agendas, minutes, all that kind of stuff. I'll keep you posted on where we're at. And as soon as Scott and his team figure out who it is on their end, we'll get them up to speed and get that started.
I was thinking about that. Just let me know when that's going to be. Hold on here, Catherine is here. Let me know when that'll be taking place and when you need me to pass along some of the items, and I'll be happy to give you what you need. Or
if you can pass along the back items anytime. So
okay,
if you want to start getting those over to me or tell me how to, tell me where we need to go to get them, because we can get those started to load before we have people using the system. But
okay,
over the course of the next month or two, we'll be bringing more people onto the system. So
yeah, I think the thing is all of the agenda and meeting minutes that we have are on the page, on the web page that Ethan has put on.
okay.
The recordings are on a YouTube page that it's on my YouTube page. I can certainly provide, trying to think about the best way to do that. I can certainly provide you links, and I don't know if you can download things off them. I also have copies of them on my hard drive. I mean, they're pretty massive files, I'm guessing, with them keeping up. So I guess that would be the best way on how to get those videos.
Let's hold off on the videos until we get everything else up, but I'm just checking something real quick here. We may have some of the information already.
Okay.
I don't think we do. It doesn't look like it. So we'll need to get it in there, and if you can start gathering the files up and sending them my way, I'll make sure we get it into the system, and then we get people trained on it.
Okay. All right. Sounds good.
Nate. Appreciate it.
All right. Anybody else have any news or updates they'd like to report? Okay. So without any further ado, we have Burlington Parks and Rec Department wanted to give a presentation on ARIA, the visual interpretation service for people who are blind or have lower vision. So I believe that's going to be Max. So please have at it. Are you going to be giving a PowerPoint presentation or anything? Do you need? No. Okay.
No.
Right.
But I have the document. Should I share?
You can certainly share that.
Okay. I emailed it to you.
John.
What?
John will get a document open so that everybody can follow along.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Or just have it for reference after.
Yeah, could you share?
Yeah.
I just made you co-host, so you should be able to share now. So if you want.
Thanks, Nate.
Oh, it's right there.
The second one.
And it's gonna be Ira.
This one?
No, the second one.
Okay.
So I know a month or two back, we were talking about how to help people with blindness and low vision kind of navigate some of our parks around Burlington. And we had floated Ira as kind of one option. And after that meeting, I did a little bit of additional research. So I reached out to Ira and spoke with them, or spoke with a representative from Ira. And then I also spoke with a woman who works in the Colorado Governor's Office of Technology, and talked with them because they've implemented Ira statewide. So to start off, I guess for people who don't know what Ira is, it's a tool that you can access from your iPhone or whatever phone you have. And it's a visual aid. And so you access it through an app. And on the app, you basically just hit a button and it connects you with a visual interpreter. And that visual interpreter can help you, can help describe kind of what you're seeing. So you can use it for navigating a website. Wait, John, if you could scroll down a little bit, maybe.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, right here.
Yeah.
So it can help you navigating a website and with that, and then also it can help you in the real world, maybe reading signage or figuring out where to go. So it's a really useful tool, and Ira agents are available 24/7, so there's no downtime. And then yeah, so you just tap a button and it pretty much connects you instantaneously, so you don't have to wait either. And then after I spoke with Ira, I also spoke with Teresa from Colorado, and so they have implemented Ira after passing a recent House bill, which requires technological updates for accessibility statewide. And so Ira is now accessible for free to all visitors and residents in Colorado when they're visiting state parks, any state building, I believe even public universities in Colorado, along with using any state websites or apps. They have an app as well. And so Teresa from Colorado, or you can scroll down, I guess. Yeah, sorry. So they actually just recently implemented it, I think less than a year ago. But Teresa has been saying that the rollout has been really, really great. And they've been seeing very steady increases in usership. And the way it works is, well, originally it was rolled out for state employees only, but they realized that it was such a useful tool, so they extended it to residents and visitors to the state. And so any person who, say, is in a Colorado state park can log on their app, and I believe it's based off location, so it knows when to charge the state versus if you were at your home. And then you have a 30-minute session for free, and then after that you just have to start a new session, it sounds like. But it really sounds like to the public there's no cost whatsoever. And I asked her about pricing for Ira, and Colorado is paying approximately $250,000 per year, but that's for statewide for all of these different places. So obviously Ira apparently was very good to work with for pricing, and got quotes out pretty quickly as well. And they were very eager to collaborate, and they were very responsive to whatever needs Colorado had. And yeah, I guess I thought it was a really, really wonderful sounding service, very useful, and I'm eager to hear kind of what you guys think as well.
So I did just want to comment, I think I just want to say, Laura did ask, is this accessible for deaf blind people who are hard of hearing with blindness or low vision, which would be
I'm not sure. I know, so the visual interpreters, I believe relay the information verbally? That's a good question. I can reach out to Ira and figure that out to see if they have a sign language option, like if you're looking at your screen, you can interface with it that way. I can follow up on that.
Laura, if you're there, I know I'm trying to bring it. I do have a follow-up question for you. In terms of on-screen interpreters, for people who are blind or low vision, is that an option for people who need to use a virtual interpreter? Are there some kind of, I want to say, tricks of the trade that could be used when something is done on the screen? Because it does sound kind of tricky that if somebody's on a phone and they're blind or low vision, to use it, they would kind of need to hear something. So I don't know if you have any ideas that for somebody who is, blind or near blind, but also deaf or hard of hearing, when it comes to like phone interpreters, is there anything they can do?
Well, typically, a deaf-blind person or a person who's hard of hearing, who relies on sign language, might need to be companioned with a family member or SSP support specialist provider called an SSP. That would be helpful. But if their SSP is also blind, then they're not able to hear and convey. So after that, it just seems there's always a need for a second person available to convey the information in a way that can be more independent would be the preference, so that if, let me think. Like a press conference, for example, where there are captions or recording, it might be easy enough to find a YouTube transcript over on the right-hand side. That's typically, there's a person can upload a document for that and read it that way. But geez, thinking here. For a person with hearing loss, how would that work? I'm not really sure. I just really don't know. And I was asking out of curiosity.
Yeah.
I guess, yeah, ask if they have
It-
some
it- It's a
solution.
very good question, but I think it's one of the, drawbacks of using technology like that for some people. So,
Yes.
thoughts, I think it's awesome. The question is, how could we implement something like that in Burlington? Or in the state of Vermont? It'd be kind of cool to do it in the state of Vermont, but.
Can I add something to the
This is
conversation?
Laura. I just still
Yep.
want to make sure that it's accessible for a person with hearing loss, some kind of a backup to that, although I don't know what it is.
Yeah, John, I was actually gonna ask you to give your thoughts as somebody who works for, DV.
Yeah, I haven't personally used IRA. I have talked to the company and I've heard their eagerness to talk to the city of Burlington, and I concur with their willingness to be flexible to work out whatever needs to be worked out. At any rate, I have a colleague who has the service, and one thing that she mentioned that I think is very powerful from people I've talked to about the tactile sign project is knowing in advance when you're going to visit a place what kind of accessibility is there, what you can anticipate, so you have an ability to prepare. So my coworker who has IRA said that any company that is within the IRA network, I guess you could say, subscribes to it, their information will come up on your phone and will tell you, Walgreens has these accessibility features in this particular store, which I think is an incredibly powerful feature to know specifically what you can anticipate there being in a place when you get there to help you out. It doesn't answer the question about hearing impairment, but there's an interesting additional feature that it has. That's all. But I think, was it John? I'm sorry, I forgot your name. who gave the presentation. You're muted. There you go. Oop.
Yeah, my name is Max.
So you're gonna call Ira? I'm curious what the answer is too. I'm really, when I talked to them, it didn't come up, but I'm really curious to know how universal it is.
Yeah, I can definitely ask them. And then for this feature that you just mentioned,
Mhm.
that's accessibility options beyond IRA at, say, the Walgreens.
What I understood from my friend explaining was that Walgreens participates with IRA, so they're part of the IRA service. So it's just a vast network. If you have a subscription to IRA and say you're in Burlington, you're going to know all of the other businesses that are through the IRA network, and you would know where accessibility is in different stores. I don't know quite how that looks on your phone, but my colleague was telling me how powerful of a feature it is. She can know where to go and what's available for her vision impairment.
Yeah, I can imagine, at least for Colorado, so the state pursued a pretty aggressive, like, public awareness campaign. But that's just another channel in which people can learn that the service is available. You know, if someone's already using IRA in one place, and now they learn that Burlington is using it through the app, that's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess I think we're all agree it's very cool. I think it would be something that would work well with the tactile sign. In conjunction like that, I guess the question would be, what would be the next step for us to try to get implemented or try to get it considered, even at least on a city level or even on a state level? I don't know if that would mean putting something in place, like getting a quote for what it is the city of Burlington and bringing to the mayor's office, or what, or what do we do this? It seems like a great tool that we worked with a tactile sign. I mean, we as the advisory committee could certainly, you know, we give our reports to the mayor's office during the year. We can certainly prevent some findings and our recommendations on it. I'm just curious to get people's thoughts on what they think we might want to do with this information. Don't all answer at once.
I'm happy to chime in a little bit from what I've heard just in the
Sure,
last
John.
year. And I think of IRA as complementary to the sign, but just another tool, actually more powerful. It would cover the city. Initially it was thought of for the waterfront or the parks, that project. And then I think a year ago I met with Scott, and Scott very quickly understood it to be, you know, a tool for the city. And recently there was a suggestion that maybe the city could work with UVM and Champlain College to maybe have a partnership and having it be an IRA hub in all of Burlington. Statewide is grand. My brain hadn't gone that far yet, but that's a really cool piece. I did talk to people in the city of Mesa a year ago because they were one of the early cities that I read had adopted it, and I found the article in relation to accessible tourism. So that's where I heard about IRA, was related to accessible tourism, and the people in Mesa couldn't say enough good things about it a year ago. I don't know if it's any different now, but it sounds like it's a really just powerful tool to have. And so anyhow, in my experience, it expanded from Imagine It from the waterfront to the city, and now the suggestion of it being a statewide tool is pretty exciting. I don't know how that happens though.
Yeah.
John, was there any indication as to whether or not somebody had talked with someone at UVM about this?
I didn't. It was
Okay.
just at the meeting that we had on the waterfront about the sign placement, IRA was mentioned, and there was a discussion there, and the suggestion was made that maybe Burlington could talk to UVM and Champlain about, you know, going in on this or something, because it'd benefit everybody.
Gotcha. Okay, thanks.
John, I don't know if you see, but Laura asked, did you say it was also being used in Mesa, Arizona? If yes, you can reach out to a cohort there.
Yeah, it's been in Mesa for more than a year. They were early adapters of IRA. So I would say yes. Asks. I don't know how widely known it is, though. I actually have a sister who lives in Mesa, and I talked to the city of Mesa, and I was mentioning this to my sister, and she hadn't heard of any of it. So, you know, she doesn't have need for it, so maybe that's why she just didn't know about it. But I'm talking about sort of publicity and rolling out a new tool for a citywide program. Anyhow, it's in use in Mesa.
Okay. So, maybe what we could do is as we get more information on it, make sure this is still being kept relevant in discussions, make sure it's brought to the mayor's office and to the necessary parties to make sure it's still being considered and implemented on the different levels. I think it'd be very cool. I think it's a good tool to work well with a tactile sign. Thank you, Max, for doing all the research into it. That's pretty great. Anybody else have anything, questions or comments? Okay.
Actually, yeah, Nate, this is Amber. I wonder if we do make a suggestion about this, do we need to have any information about like need or interest or use or anything like that? I'm just wondering if we made a proposal to like the mayor's office, is there any information gathering or something that should happen to try to help support the proposal?
I think that would be, I think the more information we have, the better. But I would turn to our either Scott or Catherine to see what their thoughts are about what we would do about that. Anybody have any recommendations on what we would do?
If I can chime in, I wrote a proposal about bringing a team to work in accessibility, a leadership Champlain team to Church Street. And in the proposal, I did include information about, I looked at how many people visited Church Street last year, and then looked at the percentage of, on average, of people in the United States who have a vision impairment, kind of came up with a percentage of potentially this percentage of people that came to Burlington last year to Church Street didn't have the full experience that they could have had because they have impaired vision and they didn't have the degree of accessibility that might have been possible. So anyhow, in my application, I included that, and I'm thinking, it would be beneficial to talk to the city of Mesa, maybe go back to Colorado and see if they can give you data on, who's using it, sort of some of the ways it's being interacted with, because you might find some surprises that it's being used by a broader group than people who have impaired vision. So it becomes an even more powerful tool for a broader constituency.
Yeah, when I last spoke with Teresa, I think they were waiting on their monthly usership numbers, and she was going to get some solid data to me. I can just follow up with her and get more information on that front.
I was wondering too, if they tested, like did a user group test first before
Of the
launching.
public. I mean, it sounds like they first launched it, like there were some city or state employees who were familiar with it and who used it personally, and then they expanded it to the employees. So I guess in
In a
that
way,
sense,
that was their tester group.
yeah.
So it sounds like what we might want to do is do some information gathering, getting some, Laura, if you're okay with reaching out to your cohorts, and maybe we get some more information from Colorado. Maybe we could put some things together, and then, figure out some kind of proposal. John, did you say it was part of a proposal as a specific grant when you wrote down the funding? What was it that you were referring to that you meant? What was it?
I wrote a a second proposal to Leadership Champlain to create a second team
Okay,
to focus on Church Street. So just in that proposal, I wrote about, you know, how
Gotcha.
many people visited Church Street, just talking about dealing with factoids and percentages persuasively.
okay. All right. Well, thank you for that. Anybody have any questions or comments before moving on? All right, so I guess the next thing onto the agenda is that we are now in the new fiscal year, but one thing that we had talked about was using funds from the June money to what in the budget, the $2,000 to go to the New American Screening Vision Project. And I know we have the proposal had been submitted, and I don't know if there are any updates from Catherine or anybody on what was going on with that, or if that is something they're able to contribute to.
I will update. I totally forgot about it until you sent me that reminder last week or the week before, Nate, when we were both on vacation. And I am planning to pay that, but I think that will need to come out of our FY24 budget. So before I did that, I'm assuming, we made this commitment to the group, so I don't think we should back out of it, but I wanted to just check in with this group and make sure I'm just gonna pay that out of our FY24 money, since I missed the boat on FY23. So I'll just go ahead and process that payment now.
No, it certainly should go through. And then that kind of ties in what our plans are for the 2024 fiscal year, is really looking into how we want to utilize the remaining funds. That would be something that would be utilized for that. And I guess it might, what I would like to see, if it's still $15,000, correct, for this fiscal year?
Yes, and it is my understanding that there is also a pot of money in the capital fund designated for accessibility separate from that 15,000. And I'll need to check in with my colleagues there about that, but we have at least the 15,000, and I believe there's some additional money.
Cool. So Catherine, one of the things that we had talked about at the last meeting was, like, instead of us sitting around coming up with ideas for ways this money could be used, and maybe sending out something, either creating something like, and you're talking about the capital, maybe asking for, like, providing micro grants or some kind of places where people would come to us and seeking a certain amount of funding, up to $2,000 or up to $25,000 for help with these type of projects that would be doing. And that was one of the ideas that we thought about thinking about and brainstorming on for 2024 and beyond. Does that sound like a feasible thing we could do, or what that might look like?
Yes, I think that sounds great. We do a kind of we have done something somewhat similar with some of the ARPA money we have, giving that out in small grants. So I would be very supportive of that.
Okay. So it's just really just trying to figure out how much we can sustain with some of the other expenses that we have going forward. So I like that idea. We can certainly put up the different. I guess the only other question I have is, would this have to be spent on other municipal related projects, or could a private business come to us and say they want to make themselves accessible? That was the one thing that kind of come to my head, is that would this have to be something where we would use the funds to, I don't know, say make a crosswalk signal, have audio on it or something like that, or add a guardrails to, some place that is municipal project, or is there a limit to who can apply for that?
That is something that I will talk to our lawyers about. It probably should have a municipal benefit, but I'm imagining, these are small dollar amounts, and most likely we could make a strong case for what we wanted to do, but there probably are some limits. So I can find out about that and reply to the group.
Okay, perfect. So looking at other plans for the fiscal year of 2024, that's obviously the micro grant one is a good one, and we, starting to spend on projects like that. I do think that, we want to give a report at some point to the mayor's office. I don't know if that should be a calendar year report. I think the last time we did a memo wasn't that long ago, but I do want to report to the mayor's office some of the items that we've worked on and discussed, from the tactile sign to the to the project that was just funded. In terms of other plans for the fiscal year, I know we've talked about a lot of things. Is there anything that we really want to proceed moving forward with? I know we had talked a lot about the website, and we're now moving meeting materials over. And I think, and I need to get on this, although I've been in and out of vacation so much, is creating a working document where we can provide the information on it that we're going to go back and forth with I think it was with accessibility features in different places for accessibility for people to go to. That would be accessible bathrooms, maybe parts where there's parking spaces, accessible parking spaces, and some items like that. Like what John said, maybe having information that can be provided to people to let them know where there's tactile signs, and that we would ultimately be linking that somewhere. And my memory is still a little fuzzy about what we had discussed on, but linking that somewhere to the committee's website, so people could go there and find information about accessibility features in Burlington. That'd be something else we can look to do. Any other suggestions that people want to have for this upcoming year, this fiscal year? I know we talked about doing things like trainings and stuff like that, which is one thing we could always do. It's just trying to figure out the right areas. Sophie.
Nate, I was just thinking back to the micro grants, if that's something we want to kind of do a little write-up for other city departments to just offer the ability to apply for additional funding, maybe for a project where we could add accessibility features where the project budget doesn't necessarily encompass that. Just as a suggestion.
I mean, I'm certainly open for it if it's something that makes any project be more accessible, or even, the way I look at it is that we can also, okay, Scott needs to drop off. So anything that also, that's not required by the ADA that makes them go beyond that to be the more accessible, I definitely view that as something that we could do. So we can certainly start working on a write-up for the microgrants going forward. Again, it's just more, I don't know if we need to factor in, and we have this money, we have the admin salary, we have the, the ASL interpreters. I don't know how much we want to say specifically should go towards these projects, or can we say they'll be announced at a later time? But I definitely think a write-up going up, but I definitely agree that, if it looks for them to add accessibility features to projects, I think that's a good idea. I don't know what other committee members think.
Nate, are you imagining that this would be like physical businesses in Burlington, or are you thinking about like services and events that are offered, or like how far would this extend?
Well, just to give you a little background, Amber, the first thing that we're using it for, and I think John can provide some details on it, is it was to provide some, there's an event coming. Well, John, why don't you describe it if you want to do it a little bit better for these funds? So
You're talking, no, I'm the wrong John, right?
John Thomas, I think you were the one who was at, well, were
I am
you
the right
asking for? Yeah, you're John,
Yeah.
you're the right one, because I think you were the
Okay.
one who, you were the one who was asking about the event funds, correct, or is that a different John?
I don't think I asked about them.
Oh, okay, so I thought it was so long story short is that there was an event for new Americans who have, visually blind, blind and visual issues. They asked for the funds to be used to help with the event, provide accessibility features to it, and we agreed to provide $2,000 to these funds. So what we're proposing doing is using the budget we have for a series of micro grants. What I don't think, we need to figure out what the parameters is, but it could be for events. Like it may be for if an event is being held and maybe they want to have ASL interpreters. I think maybe that could be something that we could entertain it. A lot of it's going to be more really geared towards, adding accessibility features, like either be a, maybe somebody needs to make improvements on a guardrail or something going up on a ramp, or again, I keep on thinking to adding a feature at a crosswalk or something like that. Maybe we have a survey and it needs some kind of a more noise beeper, and maybe that not in the city budget at that time, maybe somebody can come to us, or maybe a business wants to, you know, make some slight improvements to make themselves accessible. They'd be eligible for this micro grant that they would apply to for us. But right now, what we need to consider, and that's one of the conversations we're having, is how can these funds be used? Because right now, we thought it might be just to municipality projects. So we're not sure it can extend to public, to private businesses. But as Catherine said, that if it's something that that could be, if it's small enough, that maybe it's something that we can use. So I guess my answer to you is it's a work in progress.
Hey, Nate, if I can chime in, just so you don't think I'm
Yeah.
gaslighting you, I did ask that. I'm sorry, I wasn't thinking of our
Okay,
New American
okay.
thing as an event. It was me.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, I
I just
think of
want to make
events
sure I
like
got the
concerts
event.
on the
I just want
waterfront.
to make sure I got the right information about the event. I wasn't sure.
Yeah, you were right. I mean, we at VAB, the question was raised, are we doing enough? We thought there's new American groups that may not be having access to our information because of language or cultural barriers. So, it's a different type of access, but we looked at what we could do to do outreach to different groups to provide vision screening. So that's how the idea came about, or what it's going to focus on. And involved in some of that is translating our materials to, a different language for a particular new American group locally.
So really that's one of the big ideas about coming up is creating these micro grants or getting a write up on there to somehow describe them. And then opening it up. But it sounds like Catherine might need to get a little bit more information about what it could be a deep from. I'm really viewing it as just being a small amount of money to maybe, it could be added as a, a supplement to existing projects that might need a little extra funding, or to help events provide materials to make them more accessible. And on top of that, okay. I'm just moving down the agenda item here, unless people don't have any other items to make. Is there any other issues or other business people would like to discuss? Oh, hold on here. So Laura
Sorry, this is Laura. I just wrote something in the chat thinking that event, well, we do have 26 SSPs available for no cost to anyone, to any consumer. SSPs who can sign for people with both vision and hearing loss. So people can put in a request. My concern is people aren't aware that this is something that's available.
Okay. Are you talking about just any type of event that is being held that this could be access to?
Yep, yep. So if a person happens to have vision loss and wants to go and enjoy an event, they can put in a request for SSP, support service provider, one who signs or one who doesn't sign if they don't require that. It's free to consumers. There's nothing involved, no Medicaid, no Medicare, just vision loss. And hearing loss, rather, both vision and
Okay.
hearing.
So that would be something as a feature that maybe we should be adding to the information that we were talking about to the working document for these upcoming events.
Yeah, I just thought I'd put that out there.
Okay.
All right.
Any other business that people would like to bring up? We're gonna end early here. Enjoy the weather for the rain comes tomorrow again. All right, well, if nobody has anything else to add, I think it's safe for to adjourn until the next meeting, which are usually the third Monday of August. So without further ado, I think we can conclude. All right,
Okay.
take care,
Hi,
everyone.
everybody. Thanks for letting me
Bye.
be here. Bye.
No problem. Welcome anytime, John.
Bye.
Bye.